Ignite, sparked by BBB, where conversations are taking place to change the future.
Welcome back to BBB Sharing. I'm Evie, Director of Ignite, sparked by BBB. I have my President and CEO, Barry Morin, here.
Hello, Evie.
Hello, Barry. And Barry said that today's guest, all of our guests are special, of course, but today's guest is especially special because he says that I absolutely need to meet him. He said, I'm either going to love you or maybe not so much. But so far, I think you're great. I got to talk to you a little bit, which is more than what I usually get to do. And you are Dontrese.
Yes.
All right. He says you do a lot of everything.
Yes.
So tell me about who you are, first and foremost, your background, and how you got into what you do today.
Yeah. So again, my name is Dontrese Brown. I am a come here, not a from here. Arrived here in 2015. My background is in creative strategy, marketing, branding, which also led to me being focused on community development through the work that I do. So I lean heavily into those aspects. I feel like I sit at the intersection of community health, economic mobility, and education. And so those are the three spaces that I enjoy spending my time and my responsibility to give back to others. I've done a lot of great projects there, which I'm sure we'll dive into. But yeah, that's a high level of who I am. Yeah.
I love it. You called it your three buckets. And I love that it's very similar to our four pillars.
Mm-hmm.
And you did say that they were a domino effect.
Yes.
So what are some projects that you've worked on recently or in the past that you've noticed have contributed to kind of helping that domino effect roll a lot easier?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the main things that I'm super excited about is bringing Cristo Rey Richmond High School here to the city of Richmond. Cristo Rey, for those that don't know, is a national organization that provides education for underserved communities. They are unique in their model because they have a workforce development model, so every student works 1 day a week. The graduation rate for the students that attend is 100%. The acceptance to college for those that graduate is 100%, with 97% committing and going to and through college. It was always a concern for me to make sure that those underserved communities, specifically Black and Brown communities, have an equal playing field and opportunity from an educational standpoint. And it connected with local businesses here to bring those students out of those underserved communities to experience some things that they may never have experienced before living in the situations that they've been in. We've been super excited for our first graduation class last year. This is our second one this past June, and we're just continually impacting the community. And then that leads into the workforce economic mobility standpoint, because these students go away to college. Hopefully they, stay locally here at some, colleges and universities here, and continue to work with the organization that they work through during their high school years. And then eventually, when you put all that total together, you've got 8 years of them working at quote unquote organization. Then they go to a local college here and they're still working at that organization for another 4 years. So by the time they graduate, they've got 8 years of experience at quote unquote institution, where they're now stepping in, not in an entry level, they're stepping in at a higher entry level than normal because of that experience.
I love that.
Yeah, Tim Grimes, if you remember, he was here a while back, and he works at Cristo Rey, and so he had me down for lunch, and it was pretty special.
Yeah, and we took over the old Benedictine building.
Yep.
Done a lot of renovations there. It's a beautiful
nice
space.
Yeah.
If you've got a time for a coffee or a tour, anything of that nature that hits your email, please take a chance to do that. Yeah,
you meet the students. I mean, it really is. If you're a business looking for the workforce in 6 to 7 years,
yep,
get with them early.
No doubt,
develop them.
No question.
Internship at a different level.
Yeah.
So your brand, do you notice anything about them? Because we're on YouTube also with this little thing here. So you notice his lapel. I mean, what comes to mind? Like, you met him.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
He takes the presence of the room. Did anything stand out?
Definitely the lapel. Definitely little pocket handkerchief. The flower kind of reminds me of poppy.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a pop of red in the black, which I
Mhm.
love.
Mhm.
So what does it symbolize?
You know, I get that question all the time. And when I was
It sets you up.
when I was at Capital One, I was director for a brand across all the banking sides of banking lines of business. So I had 7 different lines of businesses across the U.S. But that included probably around 45 to 55 different creative talents across the U.S. And my team would say, they would ask me, what does that symbolize? Is it something that, family tradition? And I'm like, no, it was just, something that I wanted to do to establish a brand. And they kept telling me like, no, you got to create a story around it. You got to say something. But no, I just, I think your brand and your presence is important. How do you carry yourself? How you enter a room, and you'll see reactions of folks when you step into a room. I get a lot of folks don't wear stuff like that anymore, a lapel and a pocket square. It's great to see this thing coming back, but it sets a presence of who I am as an individual, and hopefully my brand continues to support the things and the values that I bring to the table.
Well, I love it. I'm a huge fan of it.
Thank you.
See that? You get fans everywhere. So it's like a watch collection.
Yeah.
How many lapel pin flowers do you have?
Oh, I've got probably over 50.
Here you go.
I used to have one of my designers at Capital One introduced me to an artist out of DC who would hand make these.
Wow.
And so she did it for probably 2 or 3 years, and then she's got pregnant and got married and had kids. And she's like, I can't do this anymore. But what I have are unique. Like there's not a lot out there like those.
I love
Always a
that.
different color.
So, my full name means beautiful flower.
Oh, how about that? That's cool.
So my full name is Avantia, and it's funny because people view flowers as being relatively weak, but there's an old story, and I forget where it comes from, but the root of a flower can actually crack a boulder in half.
Oh, really?
So
Interesting.
No idea.
Yep. So even the roots of something so delicate
Yeah.
can be very strong.
Yeah.
And so you really, without knowing, are a symbol of growth in a community and also breaking down barriers and finding solutions.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So,
I want a connection there. I mean,
That is cool.
and I feel like, when I got here, I didn't know much about Richmond. I knew about Arthur Ashe, didn't know much about Richmond. Very faithful and spiritual. So I was like, all right, if he's bringing us here, then we're just going to sink our boots in and commit to, impacting the community. And so I just dove, head first into making sure that I connected in those 3 buckets in those areas so that, I felt like I was fulfilling my responsibility of those before me to continue to give back to those behind me. And I do feel like there's some things that I've done. It took a lot of work to get Cristo Rey Richmond here. It was a lot of work. You come to a city like Richmond that is cliquish in its own ways, and you got to work around different types of narratives and communications and influencers and that type of deal. To bring a school that's focused on low-income students with the work study component, it took a lot of convincing, which I feel really good about because I did get a lot of support to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, you make a presence, and seriously, I met you through Randolph Macon,
Yep.
the jobs,
Career development program.
program,
Yep.
and you reintroduced me to Paul Davies, and who since I've stayed up with, and I appreciate that.
That's cool.
Grew up with, he was my Boy Scout leader in like 1972 in New Jersey. And
That was so
crazy.
crazy.
And he just retired from Randolph Macon. But and then you went on to so you went to Capital One, Randolph Macon, Ron's, what's the name of the company?
Tilt. Yeah, I was at Tilt for about 8 months there. Yeah.
Yep. And so you've done that, and you're a special person. And when I got back from Pittsburgh, I remember getting together with you very quickly, and you're everywhere and you're well known. You know, I never have to see you, but I use your name and people know you and it connects. Just like Tanya Battle,
Yeah.
like I bring up, and she just is getting on our board in November from CNF, and she's that person
Yeah,
also.
I know of
And
her.
we can do so much together as a community if we just work directly and work with Evie's program. She's our cheerleader, she's our director, she's our everything,
Mhm.
right? And she's the talent for it. And we've got some really big dreams
Yeah.
that are going to become reality, and it's going to make a difference. And we're going to say, why did we waste so much time and money at events, or whether the chamber was a lobbyist and they got into social events, or these other organizations.
Mhm.
What are we really doing? And the talking heads, as we talked
Mhm.
about,
Yeah.
you're the first person that said what I've been saying for a long time.
Yeah.
We talked the same way. We didn't even know it. So what else you want to hit on, Evie, or wrap it up?
Well, I would love to have you as a speaker here.
Wonderful. I'd love to be a part of it.
So you let me
That's a
know.
bold move, right on YouTube. That guy's gonna be
I'd
here.
love to have you as a speaker here, whether it's this coming month in November or December or any future one. I'd
Yeah.
love for you to be
Yeah,
a part of this program
Yeah.
that helps make a difference and build solutions to problems.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you agree on the notion of having a conversation about it.
No question. And I'm extremely pleased on the pillars of this organization.
Yeah.
I had no clue. But I enjoy your commitment to those pillars. They align with a lot of things that
Sure.
I believe in, and also the impact that I want to continue to make here in the city of Richmond and the region, and globally. My superpower is that I've got this audacious confidence that everything I do is going to change the world.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, it's going to create a ripple that will continue to move forward. So I really appreciate your commitment to that, and not just talking about it, but being about it, and having those difficult conversations, and allowing folks to be heard to express their concerns in conversations so that they can be
Yeah.
addressed. So,
Well, I see a day, that the chambers are sitting in here with us, the leadership, Rotary groups are sitting here, BNI groups.
mhm.
They can have their own meetings, but sit in here with us and have these conversations and really solve something. I told you about sickle cell.
Yeah. It's going to take all of us.
It's just knowledge, and knowledge is power, as they've always said. And I'm not the smartest guy, but I've reached out for my whole life to try to learn and know people better, because it's all about people. So Greater Richmond Partnership is a great brand, and they can pound their head and chest and say they got $5 billion in business or whatever it is.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Right.
Thank God. But it's funding coming from all entities to help grow our community so everybody makes money.
Right.
But we need a marketplace that starts with trust. That means the Better Business Bureau has going to be front and center everywhere.
Yeah.
We are not a church. We are the closest to a church in a way that we start with trust, integrity, respect, and honesty. So it's almost the Ten Commandments, kind of, sort of. But and I'm not making a joke of it, but we're not a church. But I believe God is put me here for a reason. I believe we have so much to accomplish, and so this economic development is wonderful. But we better have businesses in place that can deal with respecting everybody. Employees that all have a fair shake and get a fair pay, no matter who they are. That we interview everybody. That we get veterans jobs.
Yep.
We get houses, and we stop feeding people at food banks. And everybody hates me when I say that. I appreciate everything they do, but why can't people go to a store and buy food and take it home because they don't have a house, maybe?
Yeah.
Because they don't have running water? Well, let's figure that out.
Right.
And let's let them live. You cannot be all created equal if we're all on different things. You got to get the ability to get there. If it's mental health that's stopping them, we've got to help them.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is family. See what he says at all times.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, you're pinpoint on. There's so many people out here doing good work, but they tend to stay within their lane, where there could be something that they could improve on that someone else is leaning into, and that collaboration of partnership could actually, make things go better.
I say this often. we're all trying to get to the other side, and we're trying to build bridges to get it, but you're starting to build a bridge here and you're starting to build a bridge there, and everybody's working on building a bridge instead of us coming together, creating one strong bridge
Yep.
that's gonna stand the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's gonna be able to walk across it safely and efficiently and properly. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not work together? Throw your ego to the side, throw your own, your feelings. Feelings are important. They are. And you need to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you need to get things done.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You just have to. You need to work with others that you don't completely agree with sometimes,
Right.
but you can agree on that one thing.
Right.
And it needs to get done.
Yeah. I mean, sticks in a bundle are hard to break, right? So when one of the things that I was really intentional on is the Arthur Ashe Boulevard renaming. Is instead of me going into organizations for support by myself, we collaborated with a bunch of individuals, community, grassroots organizations, for-profit, nonprofit. So when I walked into said foundation or said organization and said, we need this money because it's going to help all of us in our initiatives, was easier than me going in solo saying, I need this money for this thing. Because they start to realize, oh, you're collectively impacting all these different concerns or issues. Sure, I'll give my money to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And by the way, do you know I have Arthur Ashe's ear?
What do you mean?
See, I get that. Look at those faces. I was at the War Memorial. The sculptor, Paul Pasquale.
Oh, yeah.
He made the statue. He went to my high school in New Jersey, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I met him once. We're not together, we don't know each other real well. But he did the casting of his ear in clay or whatever.
Yeah.
And put it on a plaque, Arthur Ashe's ear, and they auctioned it at the War Memorial at an event. And I bid on it.
Oh, my gosh. That's awesome.
My wife's like, you are not hanging that on. I said, oh, we are hanging
my
this
gosh,
up.
yeah.
So I always say, I got Arthur Ashe's ear. Everybody looks
funny.
at me like, say what?
Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
right, good. Maybe wrap it up.
Well, Dontrese, thank you so much for
Of
coming
course.
in here. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.
Barry, thank you again for
Thank
joining
you.
us. Everyone that's watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Make sure you hit that notification button so that you get notified every time we post. Our YouTube channel is BBB Central VA, and make sure to follow us on Spotify, BBB Sharing. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Ignite, sparked by BBB, where conversations are taking place to change the future.